Hey gods and goddesses, let's talk about Chiron in astrology. Okay, so Chiron in astrology. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. And so wherever it is in your birth chart, I'm going to go over the signs and the houses. Definitely check for both. This is where you are wounded, but you become the healer. Because Chiron is an orbit and it lasts about 50 years. It has a duration of 50 years. So this is a longer period of time. This is your healing journey and what it takes for you to feel more grounded or feel more lovable and vulnerable and appreciated. So Chiron has really deep wounds in each sign and each house. And these are things that will be displayed through behavior, through voice, through touch. These are internal battles and internal struggles and challenges that we experience with our Chiron. And sometimes these are things that ruin other things, right? We're unhealed and we're unable to realize our own pain. We ruin relationships, we ruin ourselves, we ruin, our children, like we ruin a lot of things. And so it's important for us to know where we are wounded and how we can help this healing journey and healing ourselves. And we're all wounded in some way. They're right. There is some type of lingering pain in some way. Some of us have it in different ways than others. And it's important to address it because Chiron is going to send you on that journey. And so for 50 years, you'll be going through this journey, right? And when, you get to the 50th year and you start to realize like, wow, a lot of that painful experiences held me back from a lot and I regret a lot. Why wait to regret at the end of your life when you already know that words hurt, right? You already know that words hurt you. And so it's important for you to choose your words wisely, right? Why not rearrange the story to make it work for you and let the story be written for you? And so that's why I'm here to talk about Chiron and Chiron through the houses and the sign, because we all experience this wound in some way. It is all of it in our charts. It's an orbit in the sky, right? And so it's all affecting us in some way. And so, as I said, Chiron is like our inner struggles and our inner demons and inner challenges. And not even demons. These are inner struggles that you're insecure about, that brings you not to take care of yourself, neglecting yourself, neglecting who you are because of this wound. And when we learn to address it and we learn to not fight against ourselves or fight against it, it becomes a healing journey and a state of liberation, truly. That is what Chiron is trying to do, get us in a state of liberation, to understand that we all, yes, we have battled these, silent wars within ourselves, within our own image, looking in the mirror or with your face, your teeth, your hair. Like there are many insecurities, of people in this life. And sometimes we don't know why. We're like, why? We don't like, you know what I'm saying? Why? Maybe that one time someone told you that you weren't anything and that kept it going and that was a wound. So it is something that is created through, childhood, but it makes it harder to interact in your adulthood. And remember, we are still children. Like the child self is alive. We just mature in life. We learn how to control ourselves a little bit more. And that's what it is. We learn how to control our energy, right? We learn how to harness our energy and be more disciplined with it. And so that's what it is with Chiron. It's learning to harness the pain and turn it into an alchemizing self-care routine. And so it's important that we understand that when we are wounded in these areas of our life, we don't want to do those things. We don't want to really look at that mirror. But the thing is, with Chiron, they will send you, or not even you will create situations in your life of the hurt, of the pain, and testing your own self, but you don't realize you're testing your own wound, willingness to take pain, how can you heal it? It's like this person is always addressing and hitting you with pain or whatever it is, because it can be a person, place, or thing, Chiron can be within Taurus, within the second house, right? And, that has to do with your physical face and things of that nature. So there are wounds in different areas of our life, as I said. And so it's important for us to address it with ourselves before we try to build a relationship, because those relationships will be a reflection of the wounds that we have not yet addressed and we do not wish to, right? And so I, when working with Chiron and working with my Chiron, I started to understand it a little bit more, understand myself, my boundaries. And that's the thing. when it comes to Chiron and setting boundaries, you have to be vulnerable about these things, because these are things that truly hurt you. And it can be, like I said, something along the line of words, hurt, facial expressions. I don't like my hair, I don't like this. But to the person, it seems extremely hurtful and harmful, and it's this lingering of stinging pain for them their whole life, right? But never wanting to open the book, never wanting to look inside, it's not going to do any justice. It's just going to keep the pain going on for more time and more time, instead of addressing it and realizing that you have to invite these, I don't want to say invite these triggers in, but you have to invite these obstacles in so that you can see the obstacle that you're facing within yourself. And usually when we're meeting people, as I said, in relationships or wherever, your Chiron is, they will be the reflection of the pain that you feel and keep reflecting it back to you and keep triggering you and triggering you. And, as time goes on, you start to see like, okay, well, I'm, this, and you start to accept those things about yourself. And that's the thing with Chiron. You have to accept the wound behind the pain that you've experienced. You have to accept the memories behind it too. You have to accept, the visions that you see behind it too. And you have to accept yourself. Having compassion, deep compassion for yourself is key here, and getting through this obstacle, right? But as I said, this is a 50-year type of thing. So it's this lingering going on pain, but the lingering is what keeps you from making the choices within the journey. Chiron is a journey, you know what I'm saying? And don't let the little pains and the little no's and the rejection and the I don't like you and you're ugly and you look like this, and like I said, wherever your Chiron is where you're wounded behind. But don't let those voices, or don't even let your inner critic stop you from living your life truly. Not everyone is gonna give you a yes, not everyone is gonna give you a no either, right? But it's about asserting ourselves, being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to be in pain because, well, I don't want to say being pain, right? But being willing to be told no, because we are resilient by nature. And that's where I want to talk about Chiron, on the flip side of it, there is a resilient nature to each sign, right? So in that sign, knowing the sign, knowing how you can strengthen up your Chiron and what daily practices to use is how you strengthen up your Chiron. It's how you strengthen up this wound, how you learn to be that healer and go on the healing journey, right? But it's important to recognize that it is within you. Not everyone outside of you is hurt. And, sometimes people who have Chiron within relationships, they think that it's the other person. But really, it is them. It is a reflection of you, especially if you have Chiron in the 7th house. I have Chiron in the 7th house. Like, I can say that. And I know that it's a reflection of you. It is not always the other person. It is the wounds that you need to address within you. And like I said, these are avenues of selfishness, self-undoing, addictions. Chiron shows up in so many ways, like speech problems, as I said, you're not thinking you're beautiful enough. These are deep wounds. These are not just little wounds outside, like those examples I just gave. Oh, you're ugly. No, these are actually deep wounds that brings shame, you know what I'm saying? And, after a long period of time, that's when you realize these things should not bring me shame. If you don't like them, okay, get out my face. But as I said, this is a Chiron healing journey, and they're so deep that it's up to you to truly start healing them from within and start challenging yourself to hold your own hand. You know what I'm saying? That inner critic, hold my hand, because obviously you need love, that maybe that part of yourself needs love, where the Chiron is, and give it to yourself, right? It's really about mothering yourself back to health, mothering yourself and telling yourself it's okay to feel pain or to be scared and do it anyway. But as I said, these are extremely deep, right? And it has to be us that are adjusting them. Truly, other people are just going to be the annoyance behind it and the triggers behind the wound. So wherever your Chiron is, don't worry, you will become a healer. Don't worry, you will become a healer. It is not something that will keep you from living your life, because I'm going to tell you exactly how you can use it as an empowerment and how it does affect you. You know, let's be truthful, it does affect you, but using as an empowerment is so much better. It's like, don't offer me a freaking problem without an option. Seriously, I don't like that. Okay. But anyways, let's get started. Chiron in Aries, or Chiron within the first house. This one is a really deep wound. As a child, these people could think like, where am I? Who am I? Like, what is this place? You know, they can feel like a loner, someone like they're trapped in someone else's body, almost feeling like how do they fit into this world? And there can be like in certain incidences where these people feel as though other people are always judging them or looking at them for some reason, almost like people are looking at them because they know who they are, like they find them familiar. And the Chiron in Aries, or Chiron in the first house, they don't like this, right? They feel like they are the odd one, so that's why you're looking at them. They feel as though people are looking at them because you're like, you know, are you a part of my family? You know what I'm saying? They are the people that are thinking that they are belonging to something else other than what they were born into. You know, Chiron and Aries in the first house, they have this wound around their identity, but it started as a child, and you know, they grow older, and they develop feelings of loneliness, and they can always feel as though they're never feeling at home in this world, you know. And there can be this feeling of feeling like you're in a strange land, you know, and this makes them feel as though they have no reason, you know, reason to really be in this realm. And this makes them more interconnected, like they want to be by themselves. They want to only be around people who tell them like who they are. You know, it's really about telling them who you are and what you see. For the Chiron and Aries person, they have extremely deep wounds when it comes to being needed, felt, discovering themselves. They have to discover themselves in life. As they get older, they do start to discover themselves. You know, they start to discover their unique ability, their unique gifts and talents, and why people look at them and their aura, you know, because they think outside of the box. They are different from other people. They look different. You know, it's their essence about them that makes them look different, you know, and it makes them have this passion as they grow older to get over any obstacle when it comes to figuring out who they are. But sometimes this is still, you know, a wound, because figuring out who you are just reminds you of who you are not, and, you know, who you thought you were, and all of these imagination things that they think they are. And, you know, finding out what you truly are sometimes is still, you know, this is a pursuit of personal growth, especially within the first house, because this is yourself and your identity. And there's like, it's like people recognize you, but they can't put a finger on it, right? And you always feel as though people want to talk to you, or they have something to say to you, or there's just like, who am I, and why am I here, and why do these people need me, you know? And there is just overcoming obstacles when it comes to resolving problems, when it comes to asserting yourself to things, you know. This is how you're going to discover yourself and discover truly what your voice can do, you know. When you have Chiron in Aries, you have to be assertive towards things. And this is how you start to become the healer and start to become, you know, this is a superpower. Chiron is actually a superpower, you know. And I think that when Chiron in Aries or Chiron in the first house, they learn the you know, self acceptance, and they find a sense of belonging to, you know. And through healing, they become the teacher, and they start to express their unique gifts, and they start to have a special knack for thinking for people outside of the box, you know, or for eyeing people who think outside of the box, and for making them not feel how they felt for looking like or being outside of the box, you know. And I do think that, like, no matter how much you express yourself, it's almost like no one truly understands you, right? And I do think that when, you know, as you grow older, because this is a 50-year, you know, healing journey, as you grow older, you start to see that everything is connected, and you are connected to everyone else. So it doesn't really matter who, you know, having passion in all things, and having passion against someone else, or it just doesn't really matter what other people think about you. You start to realize this because, you know, it's all about what you think about yourself, and, you know, and finding out who you truly are. It's going to require integrity. It's going to require to you to question things behind, you know, certain other things, and it does hurt because you have to question yourself, your motives, your morals. How do you accept your own nature is the big question. How do you accept yourself? And thinking about it, we change every 5 years, every 7 years, and hair gets long, gets short, and our face changes, and everything around us changes. And when you have Chiron in the Aries, Chiron in the first house, you really notice these changes about yourself, and it's almost like this criticizing that comes with it, and this wound that comes with it, and it's never really, it's not really ever really healed. But it is something, actually it's nothing that you can completely heal, but as you growing older, you start to become the healer and use this as a superpower, and you start to see that your own unique force and how it's being evolved, and how you're evolving as a person in your identity. It all is up to you, right? And I do think that by opening doors for people that may be stifled in some way through their identity, not being able to truly be how they want to be. And the thing is, when you have Chiron Aries, Chiron in the first house, you are a unique being who really are not of this world, and it's really difficult for these people to understand this, because this is a wound that develops as a child, and it's hard for them to come out of feeling strange about themselves, or feeling like they are strange, and almost like, why am I not like other people? Chiron and Aries, Chiron in the first house, you will never be like another person. And the reason why they look at you, and the reason why they are attracted to you, is because you have something inside you. You have a special gift of healing thy identity through yourself, and this is something that's internal, and this is something that is very special, and that is appearing on your essence. And people can see your aura, and they see your soul, and they see that you have the capability to heal these things in them. And so you attract people who have these types of issues, where they are unable to assert themselves to things, but you yourself do this first, and then you can help other people do this. And this is going to be a beautiful thing for you, Chiron and Aries, or Chiron in the first house, because your unique nature is finally going to have that reckoning. You know what I'm saying? You finally get to see that through your own emotional truth, right? Or through your own truth as an individual. You don't need to just be for everyone, and you're not for everyone. You're for you. Okay. And so let's move on to Chiron in the second house. These are individuals who have had a wound in childhood about their stability, about the things that they have, like how much possessions that they have. And there is this like physical security that makes you feel like an alien on this planet. It makes you feel as though like finances are hard, they're hard to come around. There's insecurity, there's uh, problems with resources and value systems and morals, about thyself. And I do think that um the placement of Chiron can be the opposite too in this house, because it can almost be like you don't have enough, or you have too much, and people it makes people not want to be around you, or you feel as though like, why is it so hard for the other person to have, you know what I'm saying? Or like your financial wealth is what makes you an outsider in some way. Like I said, Chiron is a very tricky thing. It's very internal, and these are wounds that you feel as though if you share them, other people will be shamed, like shame you for. And we want to use Chiron in the second house, Chiron in Taurus, this as a superpower, because it is. So it can go either way. It can feel like you have a lack, or feel like you have too much and not able to relate, right? And I do think that when Chiron is here, there is family issues, there's family values, that you inherit. There's attitudes towards money that you inherit, and that help you, or that program you to see how much money you can earn and how much money you can't earn. And so it's important to go back through those systems of monies in this world. How can you obtain materialistic possessions? If it's a state of lack, if it's a state that needs to be healed, it is something that you have to heal internally. And so I do think when we're talking about the second house, the realms of finances, money, and self worth, there can be a wound of psychological, like I said, lack within the family systems, that has damaged your self-worth, that has damaged your direction when it comes to money. How much can I make? Can I even make? And keeping you maybe in one area of life. You know what I'm saying? As melanated beings, are beings or who just came into this reality without a parent that has millions of dollars and things of that nature. There's almost a systematic thing that they make up that makes it seem like we can only stay in one system, one level, one class. That is not true, and it's really important for us to stop putting our self-worth based upon it. But in this life, that is your obstacle to understand and to get over those states of lack, and those personal worth battles that you have, because they mess up your direction in life. And sometimes when it comes to like earning a living and finding balance within this world, there's an attitude towards money. As I said, whether it's like, yes, I can get it, or what are the patterns that keep me from getting it? These are the people that really worry about their resources and what they can have inside of their home. And when we talk about Chiron being in the second house or in Taurus, it's important for these people to become masterful at helping others recover their own sense of power and self expression or self worth. Okay, because when we talk about self-esteem, we know in this world how money is in our resources, how other people have more or we have more than others, and things of that nature. There is a like shame or feeling bad for these things. These are deep wounds that, like I said, they can bring a lot of shame and grief and guilt. And if you have Chiron in the second house or in Taurus, it's really important for you to understand that you have to build up your own self-worth and understand your own personal power. As I said, being born in a state of lack doesn't mean you have to stay there. And so when we think about it, this can be coming to you as wisdom, guidance, support too. Because as I said, this is a house of money, self-worth. So you can get like little insights that help you feel a little bit better throughout your life, and it makes you feel like, yes, I'm possible. I'm not possible. I am, it's possible for me to make a living. It's possible for me to help the homeless. And like you could even help the homeless, help people who are more who are less fortunate than you, are more fresher than you. You can get into holistic healing because these healing practices help you keep in line with your mind, body, and soul. It's important for us to do things spiritually first and physically, or have vision behind the things that we want. And so at some point, earning money can take a new turn. You cannot earn money just from 12 second house things, which is like cooking, cleaning, very Taurus like things. But you can learn from healing, like Reiki, healing the energy of the body. You can heal by voice, dream therapy. Like there are so many to learn to truly find value in yourself. If you have this is looking for value within yourself. Ways to learn. And then when we think about Chiron being in um the second house or in Taurus, we have to develop an authentic approach to money, an authentic approach to the material world around us. Okay, this is the healing process of us for them. you know, in early childhood, there were really like strikes of low self esteem, low self worth. This really reminds me of, people who are unable to reach their full potential or to understand the fullness of this life, like what it means to have self worth and resources, and what do you put inside of your home, and like what type of people that you have around you that help build up your self-esteem. And so sometimes when people have the Chiron and Aries, they compare themselves to other families and things of that nature, and their lack, and especially in childhood they could have done this a lot, what they don't have and what their friends have, and all these problems that are associated with money, and maybe even childhood poverty in that way. And so there is going to be an ongoing quest, I do think, when it comes to your personal values. Is it the same, as yours, as your family's, as those around you? And what is your attitude towards money? And make it very unique in how you make money too. Because if the system, like I said, you have systems already in place to where you think you are in a state of lack, there are different practices that promote self-worth and self-care that help you understand how you deserve to make money in this life. And so, if the early childhood wounds are not healed, it's very hard for these people to like get over this and build up that confidence that they need. But the good news is like once you start to build up that confidence and start going in the direction of your life that makes you feel like, you know, deserving, like I deserve these resources, I deserve to have self-esteem, you will become incredibly powerful, extremely powerful, willing to stand and have gratification for things that you desire and be grateful for those things as well. I do think that when it comes to work, like I said, because you're building this skill from your own wound, this no one can take these gifts away from you. These are your gifts that you are the one that made them have value. You are the one that bring value to your gifts, okay? And you should feel truly worthwhile when you are creating something or whatever you're creating that is based upon this wound. It is funny because it's like we spend our whole lives healing from this wound. So yes, so I think that it'll be you can take these things quite serious as well. Yes, of course, Chiron, these wounds are very serious, and it definitely provides you with a good sense of like personal power. When you start to give back and when you start to realize your own value and worth, you will see it in others as well, and that right there is great. And so let's move on to Chiron in the third house, or Chiron in Gemini. Chiron in Gemini, or Chiron within the third house. Okay, so this one is one that I actually normally see this one. I've saw this one more than once. So Chiron within the third house, or Chiron within um, Gemini, there is a wound behind their. I wouldn't say a wound. Sometimes it shows up as a disability, even a severe disability within the siblings. Having to care for them, or like neighbors. There is some type of disability that has to do with communication as well, that shows up with them, or speech therapy is needed when you have Chiron within the third house or in Gemini, because Gemini is the mind and it is the voice. Sometimes when Chiron is in there, it holds the voice as a child, and that right there is. It's considered a wound in some way. And so, this, like I said, because the third house is the house of childhood experiences, childhood, early development, learning, so in early childhood, it makes a wound because as you go to school, sometimes you know have to get held back a grade or something, or you don't feel as smart as everyone else in school. When you have karma, you're not able to learn as quickly. There is this wound to learning, and this can show up in your siblings as well. It all depends on the aspects in your chart. But when we're talking about Chiron in Gemini or in the third house, this is speaking, writing, learning. And so there's a childhood wound behind all of those things. And so as you adult, relationships are always on your mind, and things like these are always on your mind. And sometimes people think that you have a dirty mind, like your mind is always in the gutters. Because when we think about Chiron or Gemini is a humor sign. It wants to play with the mind. It's very flirtatious, right? It needs to examine the mind and the thought forms. Like, it likes conversations and people and social events. So putting Chiron there is a wound that's in the mind, and people can think, wow, like this person actually has a, like a dirty mind. Their mind is not, like, they're trying to be funny, but it's not being taken as that, because it's a house of communication. This is you commuting, these things to people. And so when you have Chiron in the third house, this is a position of you putting more importance on a spiritual way of thinking than like logical way of thinking. Sometimes, the your social skills, your communication skills, and your ability to think is more on the spiritual side. Like when I say spiritual side, it's not, you only want to learn what truly is matters to you, what truly is gonna like occupy your mind, what you think is valuable. And so, when you think about the third house, you could be learning like astrology, sciences, and you learn things that are out of the box, how to work with their hands well. Like, these people probably learned how to work with their hands before they learned how to talk, so people who have Chiron or Gemini, they learn things um, through the ethers before they learn it physically. Okay. And so when you have the third house Chiron, this is you having a good sense of humor, as I said, but people will not always take it as this way. And you have to understand, when it comes to the way that you think and communicate, sometimes you can be coming off as you're not thinking right, or you're not thinking like you should be thinking, or because Gemini is a common sense, and what's seen in Chiron and Aries is the lack of common sense. Almost as though it's like there's no boundary, within the mind of what you can think about. Like anything could be thought about, right? With Gemini, there's so many things to think about. Our mind is constantly moving, right? And sometimes this can be attached to your emotions as well. When you go to share your thoughts, they're stifled in a way. And this has happened in childhood. Or you say something and it's not in the language that, people speak, which is English, or it's something else, right? And so these thoughts just have no boundaries. They go beyond boundaries and they want to express them, but they know, they've learned to keep it to themselves. And sometimes we keep our thoughts to ourselves. We have to do things as far as writing, right? And so, Gemini, if you have this placement, Chiron and Gemini, you are urged to write a book, because the third house is writing and skills. Write a book about it. Write us a fantasy book, write us a scary book, anything that anywhere your mind wanders, let it be expressed to those that it needs to be expressed to. I know the third house is very tricky because it's stifled and stopped in early childhood before it can, ever be developed on, right? And so when it comes to having a relationship between yourself and the environment, or those that are around you, you need to make like there has to be a division, right? Like there has to be, like, you think how you think and I'll think how I think. And sometimes the logical mind can't think logically. As I said, there is almost like there is too much close to their emotions. And when the third house is like the brothers and sisters, it's really how you grew up. And excuse me, and usually, like, your thoughts just come straight to your mind, and um you wanted to just express it. I would just really suggest that I know that you have a um really great writing style, and I know that you can write many books. I know you have a lot of thoughts in your mind and thought forms, and you just let them roam anywhere and anything. It could be taboo, it can be whatever you want to think about at that moment, and that right there, other people think that it's a wound, but I think that it's something that is powerful, because the mind, the mind is very powerful too. But when it's a link to our emotions, sometimes our mind can fog things up and we don't know. See, the thing is with Chiron in Gemini in the third house, they have no boundary within their mind. Who can tell you what to think? And like, that's just true. Like, why would someone else tell you what to think? But when we go about sharing these things, communicating these things, it is not received in the way that it should be. You know, a dirty joke turns into something really crazy, and we have to um, understand our own wounds and own makeup, and understanding that what we think and what we say has to really be thought about. And sometimes there's so many other ways to express our ideas and our thought forms, and where we let our minds wander, and that's through writing. And so, moving on to Gemini, actually not Gemini, moving on to Chiron in Cancer, or Chiron within the fourth house. Chiron in Cancer, or Chiron within the first house, this is very, very deep. We're talking about childhood. We're talking about the memories of childhood, the emotional depths that is learned through childhood. And those things hit very deep. When, because you have Chiron in the house of childhood, they have had they have felt like an outcast their whole life. They have been born to a family of of foreigners. They don't feel like they belong to this family that they're in. And so there can be this feeling like there's this generational, because this is the fourth house of generation, there is this generational feeling of wounds getting passed down and passed down and passed down because someone is not changing them, right? And so whoever has Chiron in the fourth house, if you listen to this video, Chiron within Cancer, you are the one that's going to change them. And it is not easy. This is changing an emotional landscape about many different streams of ancestors. Think about it. People that you're born to, they don't understand that they need to change certain things, but then it becomes all up to you to make these changes and make yourself feel better. And because this is a house of feeling deeply, it is harder to feel better. So let's get into it. When we talk about there could have been this wound behind you feeling totally abandoned by your parents. Maybe one, maybe two, maybe the mother, maybe you having to just take care of them and you're not able to be a child, right? And you had to put your feelings to the side, you know. It's like someone who grew up without one parent or the other parent, or they didn't have time for you in some way, and you felt rejected in some way, especially your emotions, you know. Cancer, if you have Chiron in Cancer, your emotions were neglected and rejected by a parent, by people who are meant to love you. And it might, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't even have to be this big thing. It could have been that one memory, because it's a house of memory, where they neglected you or said something to you, that this wound has been going on and going on. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to get over that rejection from people, especially when it's your family, your own family, extended family, and you just felt like, wow, like I'm in the wrong place, like I'm in the wrong family. You're in the right family. You're just called upon for higher calling. You're called upon for something greater than yourself, something that others around you can't even really see. And so, having Chiron within the fourth house, or Chiron within Cancer, I do think that there is some illness that comes with, or disease or disability in a part of the family life. Someone needs some type of taking care of because of this um outcast feeling, or this mentally challenged physical feeling that you have. um you could have been looked down on by others, or other people look down on you. And this hurts, like this hurts a lot, especially by people who are supposed to help you. You feel rejected by them. And this almost stifles them, because this is a very like I said, fourth house is the deep house. It's like the heart of the chart. You feel everything in there. And so I do think that when it comes to, sometimes there can be too, like where the parents don't get along, and this is the wound too, a family that can't get along, and they really hold that onto it. Also, this person can have um like connections with people that are from, like, that are familiar to them, right? What I mean by this is, as they get older, Karen, in Cancer, they usually move away from home, but they can find connection back later in life, to move back to their own home or to their own childhood, and grew up, because they wanted to grow up being accepted by a family, not being rejected by a family. That's my alarm. Not being rejected by a family, right? And the fear of this pain of rejection, and it's like, if you have a family, are you going to fail? And so these questions really, plague this house, or the Chiron in Cancer, because there's almost this insecurity that comes, right? Like, I feel struggle, like there's this struggling feeling when it comes to the roots, where you belong, and having to sacrifice your own needs to be in a relationship or group and community. It almost feels like that, not being able to, like, detach your own instincts from your emotions, from your memories, from the things that have happened to you, from other people, from the mother, from the hurt, from the pain. It's really hard to separate all of those things. You know, and sometimes people can see you as very moody, very emotional, very misunderstood. The emotions are very, very high, and there is an emotional sting in this, in this house. And not because when you have Chiron in Cancer or Chiron in the fourth house, this is not, this feels like a burden, but really this is for you to figure out your what your ancestors need healing by. And this is very, very deep, and as I said, Cancer, um, Chiron within Cancer, Chiron with the first house, with the fourth house, this can feel as though you're overprotective now. You know what I'm saying? You don't want people to just leave you. If you have a family, it needs to stay together, and these are the type of things that truly move you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to keep your family together. So you could be overprotective, very hypersensitive to life. You don't want things to change. You don't want people to leave you. You don't want to feel that sense of rejection. And sometimes this can make you feel completely alone in that way. Because, when we meet people in life and they offer us help, we're supposed to not in some way be vulnerable, but we have to live our life. And sometimes when there is a wound on our emotions, it's hard to see what is being offered to us, but because this is the fourth house, you are doing this for your ancestors. That's why it feels so heavy. And I do think that when life turns around for you, um, this is when you start to understand that when you life turns around for you, you start to understand that you need help to deal with these types of things, especially Chiron, because as I said, these are going back ages in many lineages and many, dimensions of your ancestors. And that is many, many years, And so we have to understand that it is not just us on our own physical vessel. It is our ancestors like pressuring us to make these things happen, not in a space to make us feel bad, but you can handle it. So once you decide to get some help, like, get some help with your emotional intelligence, you will feel much more stronger and much more like you can keep your family together, and you can see the beautiful blessings that the next family will have to offer you. But only getting over, those hurt and painful emotions, and constantly going to therapy and going to certain practices to help you alleviate these emotions that you feel. And so let's move to actually, and also you can develop kindness as well, compassion for other people, knowing that you understand what it feels to truly feel pain, and not that type of pain that people feel, oh yeah, I'm pain, but then they'll do something else and get them out of the pain. No, we're talking about lingering pain through memories, the past, and the childhood. These are things that do not leave us, right? And so you have to give yourself what your parents could not. You have to love yourself in the ways your parents could not, and do that for your children as well. Even if you decide to never have children, spend your life making sure that you are mothering yourself back to to health. You are your own support. You are your own nurturing support, and you deserve to be loved and feel safe, especially within your own skin, and within your own environment, and within your own home. You deserve to feel safe, right? And so, like I said, connect with a feminine figure that feels like the mother within you. And that would be Mother Goddess, and that would be nature. Nature is a mother's embrace, the moon goddess. Spend some time dancing outside with the moon goddess. Let moon goddess know your pain, because she'll tell you, thank you. Thank you for embodying this pain for you, for our ancestors, and holding this safe space for us so we can get through this. I knew you can do it. Thank you. You will become an ancestor after this. And it's just time, like, just clutter your home. Take out things that cause you memories and pain and past experiences that hold on to you. When you have Chiron in the fourth house and Chiron in Cancer, you are the one that has to let things go, especially when it comes to putting it in your house. No. If it has a memory of something, or it holds some type of heavy energy, you must let it go. You have to work on soothing your emotions. You have to work on soothing yourself, looking deep within to energize yourself back up, And as I said, these people can come off as really moody, but you have to tell yourself, I am valuable. I love myself. This is my home. My home is my body. I am important. Everyone loves me. I love myself. It's really important for you to fill yourself, fill your cup with love, and feel like fill yourself with happiness. Like, watch movies and build better memories. And I will suggest, with the Chiron within the fourth house, it is very crucial for you to spend time learning how to meditate, properly meditate, to go back to your childhood self, to tell your childhood self that we are okay now and that you forgive everything that has happened, because you know now that it was meant to happen, and you know that it will push you forward and make you a better version of yourself. Thank you, self, for keeping us safe, for doing all the things you had to do to make us get through that. And be kind and honest with yourself, okay? And so let's move on to Cancer. Actually, I keep saying Cancer, but definitely Cancer. In Chiron Cancer, always look for ways to soothe your emotions, whether it's dancing with the moon goddess, music, emotional, landscapes. When I mean by emotional landscapes, exploring your emotional landscapes, Reiki, um, ayahuasca, chakra healing, anything that is for your emotions and teaches you emotional intelligence. Okay, so let's move on to Chiron in the fifth house, or Chiron in Leo. Okay, so Chiron and Leo occurring within the fifth house, there is this moon is extremely creative, extremely self-expressive. They have this unique sense about them. Excuse me, when it's expressed well, they're very sensitive. They are very kind. They are one of a kind, let's just say that, and they have their own style, right? And no one governs their style of in no one governs their inner voice or their inner expression. So in your childhood or your inner child, they are the ones that carry the deepest wound, when it comes to creativity, because it could have been you or your parents or someone else that had low self-esteem, you know or maybe your love partners, or not your love partners, but your parents' love partners, your father's love partners. Someone had very low self-esteem or did not value themselves in the way that they should have. Maybe a lot of partners, a lot of romances, and not, really replenishing themselves back after that. And so that caused them to have low self-esteem, low worth, and it expressed this way to you. It is starts like you start to see it being expressed through you, like getting angry at you or having this reflection back on you. You just started to see these things, and you're the one that had to deal with this energy and pick yourself back up again. And these things really, really hurt you deeply, because the child within you is like, oh, I don't want it. Like, it's very scared. That's first of all. It was scared when it was encountering these experiences with the parents or different partners or things of that nature. And it is scared, the inner child within you. And as I said, the child within you is alive. It is alive. So in some way you have to wake it back up, right? And so this is where you allow your inner child to be creative, to create those things that it's seen in childhood, and create a body of work from this. You grew up, your inner child was wanting to always express itself, but it was buried, deep within. And, as a result, there are major lessons that you have to learn in life. Maybe you have to go through the same partners and things of that nature for you to learn self-worth, for you to learn more about yourself, how to express yourself authentically, for you to learn what love is and how to learn yourself, or how to love this child within you and this playfulness within you. And so there can be a lot of lessons learning to love yourself, a lot of lessons that you have to learn to love yourself and the inner child that lives within you. Okay, and as you grow up, these will come through children that you are in contact with. They will threaten you in some way and make your inner child in some way triggered, and it's up to you to respond in the best manner possible. But you also have to understand that you are very unique too. And sometimes people will not understand this unique approach that you have. And even sometimes there can have been this unique issue that it's like you have to spend time dealing with more things, like your personality. Let's say it's very unique, or your creative project, like you have to spend a lot of time doing these things because you don't really believe that they can be done. So you overdo them, you keep doing it, and these are things that causes issues, right? In some way we have to experience growing up and just letting things, I want to say letting things not be perfect, but the things that we do create, they're from the heart, they're heartfelt, and they are not really perfect, but they are channeled, they are through our imagination, and they are expressed through the inner child, and it's letting your inner child talk for you. you know and you not talk so much because you're talking about the adult stuff in life, and your inner child is just wants to come out and play. And so it's important for you to have a whole lifestyle that will heal the inner child, and also giving your inner child the right to blossom and express itself. And so, as I said, you grow up, spend some time around children, have your house full of painting material, artistic material, singing, dancing. This is how you hear yourself back up again, because there are major lessons through lovers, because this is a fifth house. Through lovers, there's problems because there's like, do you really love yourself or really love your inner child? When your inner child comes out to play, it's almost like you cannot truly give yourself to another, because that is a person too. I mean, well, not a person. It is a being that exists within you. It is you, and they want to play too. So if you are not able to express yourself authentically in relationship, this causes problems. And so these are the inner wounds. Learning to be able to learn your inner child is the overcoming of it. We are all playing, and you have to play, and you have to let yourself be seen like that in relationships as well, right? Because your low self-esteem will definitely tie up in low energies of the person that you're with, and low energies of yourself. And it's only by forgiving yourself, forgiving those childhood experiences, those wild nights of entertainment, and coming back to yourself, releasing those binds that hold you into thinking that you should feel shame and be embarrassed because of this. We all learn throughout life. Understanding your own wounds, as I said, is major key to helping heal your wounds, you know? So your inner child is wanting you to forgive your adult child self. And this creates a great position for you, right? Because you have the opportunity to create um, you know, um ways to express yourself, art pieces that helps your inner child connect with your outer child, or inner child connect with your adult child, or your human child, or whoever. There are many I won't say there are many children that can help heal you, but your inner child wants to play. And so whoever you are around that is like childlike, very happy, very jumpy, wanting to go out and play, being competitive, play sports, that is what you need to surround yourself with, right? Because there is a it's like you become the true defender of love expression, of expressing yourself authentically, of thought, the freedom of thought. Like you put yourself in a position to make yourself create in realistic ways, and that's really nice in the way. But this comes after you start to realize that you can have all of these different parts of yourself and still be enthusiastic about it. If you train yourself to believe in yourself, if you train yourself to have love for yourself, you can train yourself for anything, right? And so, as I said, if you train hard, this will work for you. And I do think that many people with this position, though, they do have this cautionness that comes with it, right? Because as I said, creativity is something that can be rejected because it's imagination, it's being thrown out of nowhere. But in your life, if you have if you have Chiron and Leo, Chiron in the fifth house, you have to learn to express yourself authentically, and that's going to come from practicing letting your child come out to play, letting your inner child come out to play, letting your inner child come out to express itself. And you say, how do you do those things? You do a lot of Leo house things: fun, entertainment, movies, poetry, writing, singing, dancing. Even if you don't like, oh, I used to like to dance when I was a child, but I don't dance anymore. It's time for you to start dancing. Oh, I like to play piano as a child. Oh, time for you to start playing piano. You have to have a conversation with your inner child, and this is how you're going to heal that wound. And so let's move on to Chiron in Virgo, or Chiron within the sixth house. And so Chiron in Virgo, or Chiron within the sixth house. And so when we talk about Virgo, we're talking about Mercury. We're talking about someone who's thinking a lot, who has a lot of thought forms. If we're talking about the sixth house, we're talking about work, our day-to-day routine, someone who has and is living for a purpose. Chiron and Virgo, this is a really deep, oh my gosh, I can't even get it out. Deep wound here. But these people hide it very well. It is buried very deep in Virgo, and very deep in the sixth house. Because, you know, Virgo is a thinking sign, right? This is, you can forget in your mind, you can put things in boxes. And so it's really easy for Chiron and Virgo to put these things into boxes, put their emotions aside and get the work done. And so you cannot consciously notice that these people are wounded in any type of way because they are having wounds in the acts of service and the acts of feeling as though they're even good enough. Are they important? Are they useful? The Chiron in Virgo wants to be useful, and you wouldn't think that they didn't think that they weren't useful, and that's the power of Virgo in Chiron as well. And sometimes there can be extreme cases of like accusing yourself of not paying attention, not meeting your own needs. And there is just this attack on the self. You're not doing enough for yourself. You're not doing a lot for yourself. And in this house, this is house of purpose and serving others. And if you feel as though you're never really doing the what others want you to do, you kind of just don't do anything at all, right? And sometimes you feel feeling like you're selfish too. You don't know what to do. You don't know what other people need from you. And it's really, it's like this flip side. You don't want to be used, but you don't know what other people need from you. And I feel like this moon focuses on a lot about responsibility and duty, and they feel as though they're not responsible, almost like there's too much on their shoulders at a young age, and they were not expecting to. I think with Virgo and Chiron and Virgo, anything in Virgo, because it's a health based sign, they will have to take care of someone when it comes to healing. Like there is some type of duty to take care of someone in their life, where they must care for another person. And in childhood, I do think that too much fell on these people's shoulders. And, Chiron in the sixth house, sometimes when it comes to expressing themselves, almost like they had to put everything aside just to get something done. Their emotions were not validated. They had to get themselves done. Or sometimes it can be also be seen as though they're just doing it for their own self interest. I do think that with this position, it is pushing you to be a hard worker, right? Virgo or the sixth house is working hard. It's working on your mental health, your physical health, and things of that nature. And when you do, these responsibilities come, but it's almost like there is a desire to help people now. As the Chiron and Virgo, Chiron in the sixth house grow older, and they grow more mature, and they realize that their service to the world is the ones that they are making. They don't have to do the things that they're doing. They choose it because they choose purpose, right? And so it's important to have that stronger sense of duty and understanding that when you start developing on your own self, your desire to help people will expand. You have the great gift of the doctor. I mean, Chiron in Virgo has the great gift of the healer. They are the healer in some way when they learn to heal themselves up, because the sixth house is a house of diseases and illnesses and pets as well. And so, these people have the ability to be very giving and helping and healing people. And after they heal their own wounds, though, it's once you learn to heal your own wounds, Chiron and Virgo, speaking when I speak about like health issues and things of that nature, they can even have really unique health issues and approaches to that. Almost like there's always a way to get out of it, or I wouldn't say get out of it, but there's always a like something that works well for you. You know what I'm saying? And something that um has healing aspects to it, like ayahuasca. Let's just say that, like ayahuasca, DMT, those types of healing herbs. This works well for Chiron, or actually within the sixth house, because we're talking about the sixth house is like the opposite of the 12th, and that is Piscean things. We're talking about retreats, ayahuasca. We're talking about going on a journey to learn something, going within, and that is displayed in Chiron and Virgo as well. You must get those types of help, spend those types of time being by yourself in retreat, in self meditation and things like that. Being in reflection, because this wound right here excuse me, that's where you develop your own unique skills, you know. You start to see your own skills and how you can use them to service others, and by doing that, that is when the healing begins, you know. That is where you truly feel like you're doing something. You feel as though you're equal to those around you, you're equal to people that you are helping, you know what I'm saying. Sometimes you compare yourself to everyone as well and see how they're inferior to you or inferior to you, and this will, once you start to realize that like everyone is on their own healing journey and to pay attention to yours, you will start to see that we're all helping each other heal in some way. You have a service, Chiron and Virgo, Chiron within the sixth house, as well as other people as well. And so, like I said, any type of um 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 important issues, you can help someone heal medically. And that's the thing with Chiron in Virgo, Chiron within the sixth house. This is a house of the doctor, as I said, someone who can heal um, um, through vitality, through health, through food, through medicines. And Chiron and Virgo, when they do those things themselves, like DMT, ayahuasca, as I said, taking those retreats, because these Chiron wounds do not just come from physical interactions. They come from deep wounds. And so we have to understand that all the criticizing and everything that we have been told to rearrange our mind, we have Chiron and Virgo or Chiron within the sixth house. We have to get rid of those things spiritually. They are locked up in boxes in our head. Like I said, Virgo can do that very well. You know, this is Mercury. So it's going through all of those things. And even the past life regression will be great if you have Chiron and Virgo. And so let's move on to Chiron in Libra and Chiron within the sixth house. Okay, so when we think about Chiron within the sixth house, actually, I'm sorry, Chiron within the seventh house. If we think about Chiron within the seventh house and Chiron in Libra, we're thinking about a wound to relationships, partnerships, illnesses, pain, healing. You know, there's a lot of give and take in relationships. This is a house of other people, you know, having to um, deal with rejection and having to deal with stages of feeling unworthy of love and unworthy of companionship and unworthy of anything. You know, with Chiron being in the seventh house, especially when it comes to other people, there can be this void, you know, to love in partnerships. Almost like if it's extremely um like there's extremely painful experiences when it comes to feeling worthy about these things. You know, there's this hyper senses that comes to the Chiron in the seventh house because this is a house of love, you know. Not be feeling worthy of love can really take effect on yourself, you know, because when we say Chiron in the seventh house, that means the first house is you. And so, you know, you not showing up the best in your relationships, you carrying this wound from other relationships, it's really a time for you to figure out what it is to love about yourself. What do they love about yourself? But they're not going to tell you. You have to figure it out. And you keep asking them, they will never tell you what it truly means to love you. If you have Libra within the seventh house, or if you have Chiron in the seventh house, because it's up to you to see it. You are the one that it's beautiful. You are the one that has to find it, right? And so you can't, like, how can you bring self-love at another person? So it's important for you to love yourself first. You cannot truly love another person until you love yourself. And accepting love is very difficult, I know, but you have to, you know, learn these major curveballs that Chiron are throwing when it comes to rejection. You know, rejections, okay, you rejected me. You have to accept these things, love, and move on, especially for yourself, you know? And this is a great time where you learn to unlove things that do not love you, and you learn to feel less lonely because they don't love you. And that's thank you. You know, it's almost like I have Chiron in the seventh house, so I can say things like thank you. But it's almost like if someone doesn't love you as deeply as you love them, focus on the ones that love you deeply, and you'll start to see how all that love trickles back into the self. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And so there can be a always need to like validate yourself and always need to feel like you are lovable no matter what. And it needs to be voiced through the partner, by the partner. And, you know, there can be you wanting to gain love and appreciation and chasing the sense of security and belonging in another person. This right here is very difficult, very dangerous, because we are meant to love ourselves first. And so this can feel as though you're lonely, even in unionships and in relationships, because you feel as though you want to celebrate together and things of that nature, but the partner can only love you as much as they can love you. You know what I'm saying? You can't, with the Chiron in the seventh house, it's almost like you feel as though you're unlovable, but you have to figure out what there is to love so that love can be built from that. If there's never a true understanding of what love, self love is, how can you expect the next person to give anything to you or be open to anything or see the love that they're giving you is only up to their capacity? And so, this is the type of person, if you have Libra as a Chiron, who um who is very unique in a sense. As I said, even their mannerisms, they are um I think they're major lessons, in my opinion, Chiron in this house, because I have experience, comes from partnerships and children. It definitely comes from those who they love and did not love them. And so it's really important that the lessons that you take from those, you take them as, I wouldn't say like natural ways to express yourself. Because we're talking about Libra, there's 100 millions of different relationships to be in, right? Okay, you don't want me. There's many other people that do, but it's getting over the one that don't. It's the ones that don't for the Chiron and Libra, because Libra wants is charming. Libra wants to be wanted, and why wouldn't you want them? And so there is just these major lessons that come from lovers, children, and your own lifestyle, and learning yourself, learning your deepest wound, the center of your creative abilities. And I do think that these wounds in relationships and children and other people, and even your mannerism, even your sense of creation, what can you make in this life without another person? Like all these things come into focus, and they come into the way that you express yourself. As you mature, they come in, like, these are difficult experiences, but you're able to express yourself creatively, until you learn how to heal yourself from them, until you learn how to forgive others for these wounds too. See, with the seventh house wound, there is learning to forgive others for hurting you, right? And but this is adding more value on you, adding more value on your career. You're learning to let things go, because it's a house of business partnerships. If you can learn to let, excuse me, things go with partnerships and marriages, how can you build relationships with people that are authentic? You know what I'm saying? And so they are um people within Chiron within the seventh house, they are true defenders of justice, of unionship, of oneness. They start to really understand what unions have taught them, you know, that there is a togetherness that must be displayed in unionship, but also there is a competitive streak too, right? And also, they have to be totally realistic, you know, because as I said, people show love in different ways, and you have to love yourself and see what type of love that you can give. And sometimes they don't even like to deal with people, you know, in that order. They will spend time alone, almost like they're in a relationship, but they're alone, and they just need to feel powerful within the relationship, or they need to feel like the person that they're in contact with is powerful. Um they want to be seen as good as the other person that they're with. They want to be seen as strong like the other person, courageous, charming, good looking, everything that the other person is. That's what they want to be seen for. And sometimes this can bring up some aggression, sharp tongue arguments and things of that nature, because as I said, how can you expect someone to love you and bring love qualities out of you if you do not bring the qualities out of yourself, right? And sometimes you are the mediator of your relationships. And that's the thing with the Libra in the seventh house, because they're constantly trying to bring relationships together, making relationships work. They could have seen a very dysfunctional relationship in their life just go on for years and years and years and years. No one ever did anything, talked about it. No one really had conversation around it, but they just stayed in the unionship. And so there needs to be some healing when it comes from that. If you have Chiron and Libra, or Libra in the seventh house, you could be a healer, a teacher of certain health matters as well, health concerns, because relationships and wounds, they hold really a lot of part, on your health. They play a lot of part within your health, because Libra is a sign of, balancing out, but it's a sign of relationship. Everything falls down onto the person. They feel everything from that person, and from the business partnership, it just ripples down to this person. And they have to alleviate these by practicing, certain acts of um, creativity, displaying their wisdom, displaying other things about themselves, teaching other things about themselves, teaching about partnerships. Like they have to channel it into alchemizing into something else. And sometimes they can create imaginary enemies, or even not even imaginary enemies. There can be enemies because think about it. You're now healing your pain. What can your enemies do now? They can do nothing. And so they come, they come up, and there are experiences where they try to get you back into feeling that pain. But Chiron and Libra, Chiron within the seventh house, when you learn to love yourself and find quality within yourself, understand that other people are losing quality in the idea of you, and that has nothing to do with you. And you have to understand that it has nothing to do with you, and work on creating a harmonious relationship with thyself, for thyself. And even if these wounds come from relationships and partnerships and mother partnerships and father partnerships and children, understand that the relationship to yourself is still most important, because you cannot expect to stay in pain and shame for your whole life about choices and things that you have made, because we're talking about Libra. These are decisions, right? You have to move on, make a better image for yourself, love yourself for new things, and become that version, embody that new version. So let's move on to Libra, and not Libra. Let's move on to Chiron within the eighth house, and Chiron within Scorpio. Okay, so Chiron within the eighth house in Scorpio, this is a wound behind self-control. This is a wound behind your obsessions, or even a lack of it. There can be a wound behind you having, you know, this raw energy. Or even as a child, listen, as a child, you could have been seeing someone who just is like close to darkness. And I don't mean this as, close to darkness, someone who's interested in learning about, um, you know, what lies underneath the surface, almost with these instincts of like animal instincts. Like they really have these strong drive. They're very intense, even at a younger age, because they're interested in things that people do not agree with, that people don't want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, with this placement in the eighth house, Chiron within the eighth house, there can be a difficulty when it comes to seeing yourself as a child too. You know what I'm saying? There can be a hidden desire that, well, not even a hidden desire. There is this hidden idea, psychological wound within your mind, that you're being criticized for this, being violated by a child, or as a child, by someone close to you. See, this one is very, deep. There are a lot of, sexual assaults and hurts that comes with Chiron in the eighth house, or Chiron in Scorpio, because Scorpio rules the genitals, and eighth house is about sex, death, and transformation. And so they could have seen a lot. Even the sexual person could have died. You know what I'm saying? Like there are serious wounds within the eighth house. But as I said, the more deeper that they go, to bring up these things, people don't want to talk about this, because these are dark topics, right? These are topics that are major lessons, and people can learn from them. They don't want to talk about them and address them. But Chiron in Scorpio, Chiron in the eighth house, once you do this, this is when you become the power. You become powerful, because you're faced with these obstacles, right? That are really deep. And sometimes, you know, they they take us away from the things of this world, if that makes sense, because this is a house of like deep transformations and going beyond the surface and occult knowledge and conspiracies. It's almost as though, they understand that these abuse and things happen to them, but they want to know why. They want to get to the deep depth of them. But this can still have you lingering in that womb because it's a house of obsession as well. So you can become obsessed with trying to know. So you have to be careful with this and understanding that this is a you you learn throughout life, and you have to keep those around you safe from making the same making the same mistakes as you. But you also want to bring awareness to these things, you know what I'm saying, not to be at a space of being angry and non-forgiving, because Chiron is a wound that must be forgiven. Chiron is a wound that you have to carry through life, and learning that you have strong drives, and that even when it comes to your early years in life, you have to learn self-discipline, and you have to heal from your deepest wounds and face them and see what drives you. And in that way, even your sexual experiences and things of the nature, you have to be careful about that experience that you have. You have to heal through those experiences, okay? And sometimes they can feel as though they're it's them against the world. They can have they can have serious issue when it comes to sharing, when it comes to healing resources with other person. They don't trust other people, and they have to learn to trust other people. They can find themselves attracted to people who take control of them, who want to keep them from like having any say, who think that they know better than them. And the Chiron in the eighth house have to be careful of these types of individuals, because you have to find your own sense of empowerment. You don't need that strong. I know that when we go through experiences in life, especially as children, we wish that there were a strong, you know, people around us to have help us and protect us. But you have to do that for yourself, and other people around you can't do this for you. Even though that this, the eighth house is a house of other people, but it's other people's monies. And so if you have to spend other people's monies when it comes to going to therapy, when it comes to understanding your own psychological makeup and how you can change it and make it better work for you, that is what you shall do, using the resources of your partner to start your healing process and to start understanding what makes you you, right? And so, and what makes you lovable? That's first of all. And what is it that you need to forgive? And what mental formulas that you need to change, to actualize? And so, there can be a level of intimacy problems at one point in their life where they're more physical, where they're thinking more about their sex drive. They're not thinking about, being tied down by people. This one really goes deep, when it comes to their sexuality, their desires. It just becomes something that becomes very powerful within their life. You know what I'm saying? Then the world around them, and this has them desiring others. Their desires are very much all over the place because they have a lot to heal, and they have to look deeply within, and they are able to deeply read into others. And that's why I think that this house is very deep, because as you have sexual experiences with other people, as a woman, you are the receiver. And if you have Chiron in the eighth house, you are definitely receiving traumas and all of that from other people. And even your own is still lingering there. And the more that you have no discipline with your, sacred chakra, the more that you pick up and the more that you got to transmute. And so it's so important for you to understand that when you do come to realize how powerful you are and how powerful your experiences play a part in your own psychological makeup, and they keep you feeling stuck and stagnant, or they keep you in pain, how you can change them, that's when you become the healer. Like, you have the capability to change them, and that is stopping with sexual experiences and learning to make love to yourself, what is truly pleasure, and not just the one that is painful. And so when we think about the eighth house, this is a house of obsession and control, and so they have to heal this when it comes to people, or they can like attract these types of partners, and just seeing what makes them tick, and having painful relationships, really. And this is a house of death, even losing someone. These losses teaches the Chiron in Virgo, or Chiron in Scorpio, Chiron in the eighth house, that death is inevitable. And, you know, people pass away and people die, and they really learn a lot from this. And this gets them to really dive deep into their fears and their hidden agendas and the mysteries of life. And, and they are rewarded, and they find the best and biggest sense of reward when they go exploring that unknown, because they find out what it truly means to love from nothing, from the depths, like from having to pull yourself up back from holes. And it's very, very powerful to have this placement, because as they grow older, please learn astrology, please learn numerology, please learn any type of occult science that you can learn, because this is going to help you understand those experiences in life and activate that power back within you. Because Chiron in the eighth house, or in Scorpio, there is a power within you, but you don't remember. That's what it is. You don't remember it. And so let's move on to Chiron in the ninth house and Chiron in Sagittarius. So, Chiron in the ninth house, or Chiron in Sagittarius, this is a wound when it comes to belief system, philosophies, and believing in God, believing in self, believing that we are free. We are free. And so these are the individuals that must understand that like, life is a learning experiences, and you have to strive towards higher learning and searching for the meaning of life and understanding of life. And there can be a wound here, because growing up, like, there's this, like, someone probably tried to instill this belief system in you that made it like, oh my gosh, if you have to believe in this, otherwise you'll die. And any type of belief system like that, that doesn't make any sense. Having to believe in something so hard, but you don't truly understand it, where's the belief? You know what I'm saying? How does that come from within me? So the Chiron in Sagittarius, a Chiron within the ninth house, this actually does go deep, because think about it, these are belief systems, and this is a house of gains and travel, and you have to get over the central belief system, or the belief system that is in the household, or even what people believe in the matrix as well. It's really difficult for these people to see the bigger picture, or they can see the bigger picture but believe in the bigger picture. And so this wound, like like your parents have tried to force upon you this belief system that actually made no sense. Like I said, it made no sense. It doesn't make sense. We are supposed to grow up and live life, and then experience what needs to be experienced. Like, the voice of God should come through you. It should not come through parent. If you cannot hear God or goddess, or you don't hear anything within you, then there is you having to go find it. No one can bring that to you. No one can say, I am God, listen to me. Not even the parents. And so we have to understand that, looking over these truths that people have installed in us, or the parents have installed in us, we have to get past them, the forcefulness of this, because the ninth house is a house of forcing these philosophies. Sagittarius could be very forceful in their philosophies, making you believe them. They're the preachers of the zodiac. So I definitely know that this is not just this room where it's like, oh yeah, my parents told me that I should believe in this. No, this is something that is preached to you every single day. This is the word of God. And so these people have to really go on the journey of life, uncovering and literally surrendering to themselves, because that belief system isn't something that they can surrender to at the time. So you have to understand that the truth that you seek will be in your own convictions. And sometimes there's no guidance given at all to believe. There is just this empty space that we have to fill. And sometimes you feel empty. You know what I'm saying? Because there's this feeling as though I must find something. There is something out there that it doesn't make sense. Like, there is like heaven and hell. Like, what is this way of life? And I do think that sometimes, because this wound is not healed, that it can send you on this very narrow-minded journey. Be resilient, yes, but you also have to surrender to the unknown that you don't know, because the ninth house is a house of knowing. It is a house of dharma, you know what I'm saying? It's a house of the teacher, the higher self. So the higher self does feel like it knows, but sometimes it can try to convince you that what you feel is right, and sometimes it's not right. And we have to understand that holding on tightly to versions of the truth, to versions of belief systems, to versions of thought that is not true, and you fear letting them go, and you fear that if fear comes up, that is an indication that something is not right, and that you have to develop a better mentality towards that, right? Because the pain sometimes is so intense that you think that it's you against them, you against God, or you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be some type of system out there that is against you, because it no longer works for you as you grow older. So you have to understand that sometimes you have to remake your own philosophy. You have to self understand. You have to self understand and find self truth. Go on a quest for the self. Go on a quest to uncover the things about yourself that you do not know, and do not be narrow minded behind them, right? And sometimes there can be a sense of healing and well, seeking healing. But as you start to seek healing, and as you start to uncover these things about yourself, and you find yourself on this quest of going anywhere and anywhere, you feel this hunger for learning. Now you start to see that your healing journey can expand to others. It's like your own direction has depth. You have your own path. Your own unique path. God starts to speak to you. You start to understand that, yeah, there is a wound by the belief system put on the belief to God, but there is not a wound in believing in God, if that makes sense. Only a system, only a program that taught you this, right? But there are ways to access to the divine. It is you, and going in depth and understanding symbols, signs, and you start to understand all those things. And it makes so much more sense to you, and you start going depth and understanding symbols and technological teachings and philosophies and things of that nature. And you start being fascinated by these things. And you have a talent for uncovering a lot of these things as well, because the ninth house is a house of dharma and things of that nature. So this is a journey of you and God, hand in hand. Come here, like, literally. Mother Goddess and God is trying to embrace you to go on this walk with them, but you must surrender to the things that you think you know, because you don't know what you know. You don't know what you think you know. And it only comes from surrendering to the thing, to like not knowing anything and being willing to learn everything, is when you start this healing journey. And it's really so beautiful, because this is that ninth house, and the ninth house is the lucky house. The ninth house is that house where everything just feels like it's gonna work out for you. And once you start to understand that the programming doesn't have to lead into your adult life, the beauty and all of these little synchronicities come to you. And so let's move on to Sagittarius. Actually, not Sagittarius, Capricorn. Chiron and Capricorn, and Chiron within the 10th house. Okay, so Chiron in Capricorn, Chiron in the 10th house, Chiron in the 10th house of public image, Chiron in Capricorn. Okay, I like to repeat it because I'm thinking. So I think that Chiron here this can be a wound behind the relationship to the father, the relationship to the career, your authority figure. Like, there is this wound behind ambition, almost like one parent was like full of pain and conflict, but the other parent was like um associated with like the go-getting attitude. You know what I'm saying? Like, there could have been some type of um parent, because the 10th house is out of the father, but we can say that it's the mother or the father. But that causes some type of like, s- s- you know stunt in authority. And this can be like same sex, like
partners as well, like same-sex fathers, same-sex mothers, or something like that. Something just throws off the path, and you feel as though this is a wound. You know what I'm saying? Because this is some the 10th house is what everyone sees, right? And so as a child, when people see that you have two mothers or two fathers, or they see this this conflict within the home, or they see that one parent was extremely full of pain and conflict, like people can see this, you know what I'm saying? And so there's a wound that is displayed behind this. And so when you as you begin to heal this wound, you start to manifest in other ways. When it comes to your ability to succeed, you no longer feel that sense of rejection, because when you think about the 10th house and you think about the parents doing something they probably shouldn't have done, right? And it has effect on your image now. You have to understand that that is their life. Now it's your life and it's your turn and it's your time to drive yourself harder. And Kyra makes you drive yourself hard being in here, finding these hard, like these not hard schedules, but these schedules that you have to keep up with. And when it comes to finding your purpose and speaking on it, it's like you're a preacher. This is the wound when it comes to feeling that like something is missing, like you're not doing all that you can do, and no matter how high you fly, you never get the recognition that you deserve, right? And Chiron being in the 10th house, I really feel like it's just making you work hard on yourself, hard on your image or your public image, because this can have to do with the father's, image, or the mother's image in some type of way. But once you learn that their image is, it doesn't have to, you know, um, overshine your image, you start to feel the gift of charisma. Like you start to feel your own wit, your own sense of humor, and you are able to express yourself more kindly. You know what I'm saying? Like the Chiron in the 10th house can feel as though um sometimes you have to work really hard for the career you want, or you have to really work hard at something to having some type of authority in this world, or taking care of others or something like that. And Chiron here makes it feel as though you have to work extra hard for them, and sometimes you won't stand out because of it, but you have to understand that the healing really does come from what's being done behind the surface. Even though people see your image and you may not get what you want, or I wouldn't say you won't get what you want, because Chiron actually will make it known, will make you get the things that you need in life once you do what you need to do. Once you go on that healing journey and you fully start to accept your own healing gifts and healing powers, and start healing your own self when it comes to having this ambition, towards meaning, living a meaningful life, you know what I'm saying, or getting over something of this embarrassment of the parents or some type of nature, you're able to accept your own imperfections, put yourself out there, love yourself, and go into whatever chosen career that you want, whatever it is that you want to teach, whatever authority that you want to stand on and teach others. This is your position to heal. But there's a really big wound when it comes to the ambition towards things. It's almost like you don't have that drive. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, one family, there can have been like, same sex marriages where people judge you because of that, and that really plays a part on it. Or there can have been one parent that has a lot of pain and conflict and within the workplace, and they're not able to express it right. And this is how they're seen, and it reflects on you because you are their children, and the 10th house is opposite the 4th house, and so of course this has effect on the children. And so, as I said, no matter what, you will reach success with time, with Chiron in the 10th house. But the success that you want to reach is the one that calls for authentic healing. You cannot, you have to truly be vulnerable in your space of power and your position in order to move to the next step. In order to level up and build anything, it has to be authentic too. You know what I'm saying? But you can make a sense of humor about this. Definitely being kind towards others and being kind towards yourself. I do think that Kara in this house, they're willing to go above and beyond. They're just not willing to do it for themselves. And that's the thing, where they learn to do it for themselves. They can learn to do it for others in authentic ways. And so let's move to Chiron in Aquarius and Chiron in the 11th house. And so Chiron in Aquarius in the 11th house. So 11th house is friends. It is our wishes, our dreams, our hopes. And these people can have major lessons when it comes to choosing their friends wisely. The people around them, do they admire them for their own unique abilities? Or like, how is it? Are they judging them for their own unique abilities? And so they have to deal with this in some type of way, the way that they express themselves and talents, and even understanding children, and even understanding their own. Sometimes it doesn't fit into what society thinks is right, or thinks is right. Let's just say right, because Aquarius is a sign, 11th house, of the future, of things that haven't even come to pass yet, but they're thinking so much of the future, and they're probably talking that way as well, and so sometimes they can be seen as outcasts when they're friends. And I'm laughing, but it isn't funny, because you know uh Chiron in Aquarius, these people could really feel outcast from their friends, almost like they're truly different from society. Why don't they fit in? And they have this, you know resentment when it comes to society, like, who wants to be like them anyway? And so in childhood, there can have been, an experience that made you feel different from your peers. Like, no one wanted to be around you, and no one wanted to deal with you, and no one wanted to hear what you had to say, and no one wanted to be around you. And so it could have caused you to even your parents in some way, and this could have caused you to be quite judgmental, or them to be judgmental to you, and then you be judgmental towards yourself, and forcing you not to fit in. And so there can be like this intense fear when it comes to rejection, when it comes to not making the friends that you want to make, you know what I'm saying, or the connection that you want to make, and building those relationships and connecting with different groups of people. There is just a great fear behind this. And I feel as though once you learn to, teach yourself that you're not going to fit in or be accepted by everyone, and everyone is not going to love you. And it should never have you losing yourself, or losing value within yourself and your own sense of style. Sometimes you can be pushed in one direction, and you're sure of this one direction, but your friends want to go in a different direction. And so sometimes you can attract situations where friends, they take advantage of you because they want you to go in their direction, but you should go in another direction because you're the one with the futuristic mind. And so sometimes this causes a lot of draining, right? It drains you to have friends, especially within younger life, almost like you have a strong need to fit in, but you can't fit in because no one wants to befriend you in that way, or befriend you in a true way, right? And sometimes this can have you searching for friends, and searching for the longing connection when it comes to the outside world, wanting to change the world, and making friends that want to be friends, wanting like-minded people in your world, having higher motives, because now you feel this sense of loneliness, or fear of loneliness, and feeling like no one understands your mind. You're highly misunderstood, and sometimes this can, you know, urge you to participate in matters of humanity that are extremely strong. You're the one that wants to participate in those charity events. You're the one that wants to adopt the unwanted child. Like, you're the one that wants the unwanted friend. You become the voice of the meek and the damned, really. And, this has you being involved, or actually you're involved in large organizations and stuff like that, but it's very discomfortable, right? You feel discomfortable, in your social settings and social events, even though this is something that you want to do, and you're helping the world. This does not make you feel that good. And so you have to come to terms when it comes to healing yourself and connecting to others. What is the true authentic way to make these things happen? How can you heal yourself by accepting your own indifferences? That's, first of all, you can accept your own value, accept your own being different and still being good at things. Accept your own differences as not a curse, but a blessing. This is something that you have to be proud of, your own unique role in society. You know what I'm saying? The one that is that one that stands out from the herd, right? And so these are individuals that can even be seen as uniquely um different from their family members as well. But we're talking about Aquarius 11th house. This is definitely by society. And so when we think about the 11th house too, sometimes there can be a feeling of the others see you as being like a loner, like a loser, or reject you. And And sometimes there's just a manifestation of your own mind just trying to fit in. There's a disillusionment behind these things, almost like you hear whispers, like people are whispering about you, behind closed doors. That person can really feel as though, and you want to remind yourself that even if they are, you're only going to make yourself feel more isolated. And sometimes they are not, because you are special, you are unique. And um if you are not accepted by society, you still have these qualities about you that are your own unique expression, your own achievements, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you become the leader amongst your peers because you start to be aware of your own needs, your own desires, your own wants. You are in your own lane and you are the leader truly. And leading the way, towards a different path can help you bring everyone together for a common goal. And that's what it is. It's getting into those friendships that actually need you and they need your guidance. That is all, because friendships are give and take, where we need each other. It's not just friends, just to have friends. And that's what Chiron in Aquarius, once they start to heal these things and they start to really look deep inside themselves, they start to be the solver for their own problems. And sometimes, science can be the result of these things, them learning science and learning some type of healing profession or some type of healing practice that helps them see themselves in a more positive way and see themselves as the leader. And when they're not the leader, they can be just a positive voice in the group in some type of way. Okay. And so let's move to Chiron in Pisces and Chiron in the 12th house. Okay. So when we talk about Chiron in Pisces and Chiron in the 12th house, these are individuals who have a blind spot, because the ninth house is, the 10th house, excuse me. I'm every house except the 12th. But the 12th house is our blind spot. It's what is hidden to us, you know? And so sometimes these people get confused with their own identity or confused with their own selves, and it becomes their greatest wound. Sometimes they can't separate themselves from their own problems, from their own truths. And it's really hard to separate these things for these people. And this creates a judgment towards themselves, and they feel as though other people are judging them. And this leaves them to have to go through extreme, levels of loneliness, of even wanting to be alone too, not trusting in their ability to express themselves. There can be um um like people wanting you to live up to these high standards that you can never truly like live up to these standards, because you're not really conscious of who you are. You're not even conscious of what you're actually heard about. And that's the thing with Chiron in Pisces, or Chiron within the 12th house, because it's hidden. It's a blind spot. It's almost like people expect more of you. They think more of you than and that's actually there, because it's hidden. Like pain is actually hidden from you. And only in solitude and darkness and in levels of quiet in the mind will you truly start to feel and see this pain. But around people, there is I can, well, with Pisces, you can almost like morph yourself into happy feelings, right? Someone else is happy near me, they can be happy too. It's only in spending time alone when you're like, you're truly not happy. And so Chiron in the 12th house, Chiron in Pisces, they have a fear of looking too closely at themselves, almost like they can, if they look too closely at themselves, they have to work on themselves. They have to change certain things about themselves. And what if all of these things are unpleasant, right? How much pain is this going to actually bring them? And they think about this because they want to feel it at the very least, you know? They don't want to feel it. They want to feel, not that, let's just say that, right? They want to escape in a way. And so this can have this can have you, like, this can bring a stall when it comes to finding the truth. Like, you're stalling yourself from finding the truth about yourself, because it's hard to learn the truth if you're hiding parts of yourself and parts of your reality. If parts of your reality is hidden to your mind, it's hard to confront them. And so, you know, you fear that sometimes if a door opens, another one will, like, no other if a door closes, no other doors will open. You can have that feel as well. Or sometimes there can be a truth behind your behaviors, like you have to change something now, and it's just bringing things to light. The Chiron and Pisces don't want to happen, but as they do, they become greater. They find their sense of self or their sense of identity behind closed doors. And sometimes there can have been a learning disability too, when it comes to, like, they learning well, I wouldn't say a learning disability. They only learn things that are important to them. They don't care about every subject, but they are good at the subject of singing, dancing, and all of those things. And they can even be ones that have hidden talents, but they wouldn't know unless they go and search you know and it can also make you a true experience of who finding um another door, finding new, hmm how can I say this, finding new ways to, like, increase your knowledge of self and increase your knowledge of what has been hidden to you. So as you learn to heal these things about yourself, these are things that you start to be good at. You start to really see that the doors that are opening for you are the doors that that have been closed, that you have closed, right? And so I feel as though when you have Chiron and Aries, there's always one goal for these people to work on, always one thing that they want to grow and they want to learn, and that helps them in some type of way. On the other side, there's a feeling of being forced into um you know roles that they don't want to be in, roles that they don't want to be in. And this can make them be their own worst enemy sometimes, because it is more important for them to be true to themselves than fit in. As I said, they will spend more time alone than being in your face. Like with Chiron and Aries, they don't want to feel the pain. So if anything that is involving that type of pain, or they don't fit in, they will spend their time alone. Because they know that they can escape and retreat back to feeling good again. And so it's important for them to um not become their own worst enemy. Like I said, when it comes to these things, you spend so much time alone. When you go out into the world, you don't understand what they're doing or what's going on. And so, but Chiron within 12th house, these people have the ability to become immensely spiritual and learn a lot of things behind closed doors. They're really shaping their awareness by what's unseen, and sometimes that is difficult, right? Because there's a reality, and there is a self, and there is you, and there is imagination, there's so many different realms that exists within the 12th house, that you have to understand which one you're in and which one you belong to know how to differentiate and have a complete understanding about what's going on. And so, this is good for writing down your dreams, writing down things that, come from the heavens or come from the underworld. So there can also be a dream, or not even a dream, a gift when it comes to understanding the pain of the ancestors, the people that have died before you, even visits from dreams, from people who are passing or people who will pass. Mediumship, with the Chiron in Pisces, these individuals are extremely magical. The more that you heal and the more that you become aware of the universe, and you become aware of the universe that exists within inside of you, the more available everything becomes to you. Your identity becomes more available to you. Your senses, you start to see your face in a more, not wounded way, but in a way of, I'm here and I'm alive and I'm in this reality and I have to make the best of it. And you have more greater understanding of humans in that way, and understanding of the power that humans hold, and stuff of that nature, right? And Chiron and Pisces, the Chiron within the 12th house, sometimes they have no like interest in um being on an opposite, like the opposing side, right? They have no interest in being like opposite from the other person. They understand that everything is interconnected. But I do want to say that when the more that you heal with the Chiron in Pisces or Chiron in the 12th house, the more that you become the healer. And it's healing through practices such as dancing, singing, poetry, very Piscean things, excuse me, through philosophies and healing yourself back up through your identity and understanding your own divinity is going to make you feel more empowered and through later in life. It's just as truly a walk with this is another walk with God when you have Chiron in Pisces, but one that takes you down the line of your own behavior, your own self limiting behaviors. And so that is all that I have for Chiron through the houses and through the signs. If that was helpful, definitely let me know and you can send it to someone. Maybe they can find it helpful as well. That will help me a lot and I will love you forever. Ever. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. So if you can do that, that will be grateful. I mean, I will be grateful. That would be great. I'll probably spend too much time sitting down making this video, but yes, definitely like, comment, subscribe, please. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Thank you.